Welcome back to the Cossy Arsenal channel. My name is Cossy. Welcome back to a brand new video. This is the latest Arsenal news and transfer news as well. Arsenal have agreed a 5-year deal with Viktor Gyökeres, according to Sacha Tavaleri. And now the two clubs, Sporting and Arsenal, are in ongoing talks to agree a fee around 70 to 75 million euros. We're going to be diving into that story. We are also getting reports from Team News Antics that Arsenal are facing difficulties on the Benjamin Šeško deal, and a deal could actually collapse between the two clubs, Leipzig and Arsenal. Arsenal feel there is no ongoing progress on the deal, and RB Leipzig feel like they're a club that doesn't really matter. So we'll be discussing what is going on with Benjamin Šeško. Why is it becoming very difficult for Arsenal to agree a deal on this end? And also Fabrizio has talked about Christian Mosquera. He's given us a very, very big update on the Christian Mosquera deal. And he says he has been given a new deal, but the player is only thinking Arsenal. And Arsenal. The new deal that was offered by Valencia was effectively turned down by the player who wants to join Arsenal this summer. Hit the like button, subscribe to the channel as well. The striker talk continues. Today, it is Viktor Gyökeres. Tomorrow, it is Benjamin Šeško. Of course, last week, we talked about Benjamin Šeško, and Fabrizio was saying that there is a new hint from Benjamin Šeško's agent that the player is going to join. And now, it is Fabrizio himself who is reporting on the Viktor Gyökeres story, indicating there's a bigger likelihood for Arsenal to sign Viktor Gyökeres over signing Benjamin Šeško this summer. So what is going on? Let's discuss in this video. Let's start off with Sacha Tavaleri, who says that Arsenal are in advanced talks with Sporting in order to find a deal for Viktor Gyökeres. The Gunners feel like they're touching the final phase of this case. A 5-year deal has already been agreed between Arsenal and Viktor Gyökeres. So that is where we are right at the moment. Arsenal have agreed a 5-year deal with Viktor Gyökeres to sign him this summer. And this actually irons out all the rumors that were saying that the player is asking for 300k per week. He never asked for 300k per week. At the moment, he's earning about 40,000 to 50,000 pounds per week. There is no way they were going to ask for 300k. These two deals have had a lot of propaganda. Remember, we had the same thing with the Benjamin Šeško story, that Benjamin Šeško was asking for a lot of money and Arsenal were not willing to pay the wages, and the agent as well was asking for a bigger ransom in terms of the agent fees. The truth is, Gyökeres wants to join Arsenal. This has been reported by Romano 100%. He wants to join us, and personal terms were never going to be a problem. Personal terms were not going to be a stumbling block. So he's not going to earn 300k. He's not going to earn 250k. I'm presuming that he might get that big jump from 40,000 per week to about 150,000 or 170, around 180,000 per week. And for me, that is reasonable wages for a striker who's 27. Is just coming from Portugal. We don't know whether it's going to work out or not. Now, if he does well in his first season, maybe scores 20 goals in the Premier League and maybe 15 in all competitions, and that makes it 35 goals in all competitions, then it is okay for Arsenal to renew his deal and give him maybe 200k, 220k, or 250k. But at the moment, if you're signing a 27-year-old who is a big gamble, it could work, it could not work. I mean, we have seen players come from the Portuguese league and it doesn't work out. And it's not the player's fault. At times it is how easy it is to score goals and play football down in Portugal, and how difficult it is to come in the Premier League from the Portuguese La Liga and you catch fire. I mean, we've seen Darwin Núñez. It's not that he's not getting the chances as a player. He's getting the chances, but he's not finishing off those chances. Is that down to the league? Is that down to the fact that he was at Benfica and now he made that jump to the Premier League and things became tough? It is very, very possible. But at the moment, Arsenal have an agreement on Viktor Gyökeres, 5-year deal. Player wants to join Arsenal. Like, Fabrizio today said that he didn't reject Manchester United, but he told them he's waiting for Arsenal. I don't know what that means. Really, I don't know what that means. Whether it means that he told Manchester United, wait, let Arsenal first either sign me or not, and then you can have your chance. Regardless of what that means, that is a rejection. He turned down Manchester United, turned down Juventus, to just wait for Arsenal, right? And it's only right that Arsenal progress on this deal because there is a story coming out of Team News Antics, and it's a story that people who like Benjamin Šeško will not like, but it's a story that people who like Viktor Gyökeres will like very much. And Team News Antics is reporting today that Arsenal are struggling to agree a deal with RB Leipzig over Benjamin Šeško. And while the club are still trying to complete the deal, there is currently no headway being made. There is no progress being made on this deal. Arsenal and RB Leipzig are making no progress, and Arsenal are struggling to find a footing in their deal. Now, this is also contrary to belief because last week, the Bild reported that RB Leipzig were now willing to accept 70 million euros plus add-ons, right? And I think what I understood by that is that Arsenal don't want to pay anything above 70 million euros. They want the whole package for Benjamin Šeško to be 70 million euros. Maybe they want to pay 60 million euros or 65 million euros plus 5 in add-ons, or they want to pay 60 million euros plus 10 in add-ons, but they want the whole package, fixed payments plus add-ons. It should be 70 million euros. And Leipzig are saying, we want 70 million euros in fixed fees, right? The guaranteed payment should be 70 million euros, and then you can do your stuff, right? You can do your stuff. So Team News Antics is reporting there is an impasse that has been struck between these two clubs, and a deal is not progressing. Actually, he says that Arsenal is trying to get a deal done for Benjamin Šeško, but, and he says, this is my opinion, it wouldn't surprise me if if Arsenal move on, right, as we are making no headway, as we are making no progress on this deal. Now, what have we seen with Arsenal this summer? One thing we've seen with Arsenal this summer is if they want a player and that player is proving to be impossible to get, we walk away. We tried that with Joan Garcia at Espanyol. Arsenal wanted Joan Garcia, Mikel Arteta wanted Joan Garcia, but they wanted him at a reduced fee. They didn't want to pay the £21 million release clause in the player's contract. They wanted to pay around 18 million euros to 15 million euros, around there. That's what Arsenal's valuation of the player was. And Espanyol said, no way. We are not giving you one of the best goalkeepers to come out of the Spanish La Liga in recent years for 15 million euros. And what happened? Barcelona went in and agreed a deal for Joan Garcia and took him. And the moment Arsenal realized, this was reported by Charles Watts as well, the moment Arsenal realized that this deal was going to be a problem, what did Arsenal do? They walked away and did the Kepa deal, right? Now, the two goalkeepers might not be at the same level, but this shows you two things. Arsenal have an alternative to whichever position they're trying to pursue this summer. There is no messing around. And this is the difference between Andre Bata and Edu. Because we were told Edu likes to pursue one option. If it is Rice, it is Rice. If it is Caicedo, it is Caicedo. If it is Šeško, it is Šeško. And we saw it last summer, right? Arsenal went in for Šeško. We failed to sign Šeško. And that was a deal that failed early in the window. Arsenal, again, didn't sign a centre forward. Until today, we don't have a centre forward because Edu somehow managed to fumble up a whole summer trying to get Šeško, and when he failed, it was over. But Andre Bata is saying no. If we want Šeško, well and good, but what if the deal doesn't happen? Because Sami Makbo said, in football, in the transfer market, not everything that you want happens. Not everything that you hope for is going to happen, right? So why this deal for me is having such a big problem is this. One, Arsenal are unwilling to pay a lot of money for Šeško because they know they've got options. Hugo Ekitike is an option. Viktor Gyökeres is an option. And as far as I'm concerned, Watkins is still an option for Arsenal. And there are other strikers, by the way, on the market, right? Like, yes, Jonathan David has just had a here we go with Juventus, but that was another striker available. Victor Osimhen is available, okay? So it is not like if Arsenal don't get Šeško, oh my God, our season is over. We're not going to win the silverware. No, we can get another player. And that is what Andre Bata has been working on. Can I discuss personal terms with Gyökeres and Šeško at the same time so that if the Šeško camp disappoints, if the Šeško deal fails to happen, then we can go and do the Viktor Gyökeres deal. Now, in my opinion, I still think that both of these deals are trying to be negotiated, and Arsenal are still in the negotiation rooms and on the negotiation tables for both of these deals. But one deal is proving to become easy, and the other is proving to become difficult. And I remember I told you that what is going to differentiate these two clubs is this. If RB Leipzig agree to reduce their asking price faster, we go with Šeško. If Gyökerez's price is the one that's going to come down faster, we go with Benjamin Šeško. And in the end, for me, I'm looking at Gyökerez, and I'm like, it seems like it's going to be Gyökerez, right? Because that is the price that is actually going down. That is the price that I'm seeing. I'm looking at progress there. I'm looking at Sporting giving. RB Leipzig know they have a lot of power. The guy has just signed a new deal. That is number one. He's got a very long-term contract. He's still very young. He's 22. They can keep him for another summer. And they know they are losing Xavi Simons. So maybe they're like, okay, if you're losing Xavi Simons, why don't we just keep Šeško? Maybe they want to keep their player and we don't know. But we were told by the agent of the player that they will not pressurize Leipzig. And if the player doesn't join any project this summer, they will stay, okay? So that is, I don't think they are desperate. I don't think they're trying to work on this deal the way Gyökeres and his camp are working on the deal to Arsenal. So I'm not surprised that Arsenal might even walk away entirely from the Benjamin Šeško negotiations. But let's wait and see. That is according to Team News and Tix, who says, we won't be surprised if Arsenal walk away and walk into another deal. Now, Fabrizio has given us an update on the Christian Mosquera deal. The player was offered a new deal by Valencia, and this is what happened.
On Arsenal today, guys, many questions from the fans on Christian Mosquera situation, because Valencia have offered a new deal to Christian Mosquera with an important salary. My understanding, guys, is that Christian Mosquera desire is very clear. Arsenal, Arsenal, Arsenal. Christian Mosquera wants to play for Arsenal. Now it's on Valencia and Arsenal to reach an agreement on the transfer fee. The first bid, 15 million euros, got rejected. Arsenal will be back to the table with a new proposal. So for sure the conversation will continue, club to club, for Mosquera, and the desire of the player is to go to Arsenal. Now, Valencia can try their efforts, of course, is maximum respect for the club, but my feeling is that Christian Mosquera is leaning towards a move to Arsenal. So that's my understanding, that's my feeling, and we will see what's going to happen there. But for sure, the attraction of Arsenal project for this player too is something very strong, and so it's going to be complicated, I think, for Valencia to convince Mosquera to stay at the club. Then, guys.
So that is Fabrizio there on the Christian Mosquera deal. There's been a bit of panic from the Arsenal fan base, especially online. I don't know why we panic so quickly. I don't know why Arsenal fans, we are like, we have suffered this paranoia, and it is now becoming a big psychological disorder. We panic at anything. But Fabrizio has put it very clearly right there, and he says, at the moment, guys, do not be afraid. Christian Mosquera to Arsenal is 100% on, right? Valencia can try to extend the deal of their player. He is their player, right? He's the player. They can try to extend his deal, and the player is okay to say, okay, I will leave or I will stay. Now, this is hands of Arsenal, who broke the story first, and he says that Arsenal are aiming to close a deal for Christian Mosquera at around 15 million euros, potentially plus add-ons, whereas Valencia are looking for a fee in the range of 20 million euros. Negotiations ongoing, and a second bid is expected. The player has a full agreement on personal terms with Arsenal. Okay, there is a disparity. There's a disparity. So hands of Arsenal says Arsenal want to do the deal around 15 million euros, and then Valencia are asking for around 20 million euros. So there is a compromise of about 5 million euros that has to be made. And I know many of you might be angry. Why aren't we just paying 20 million euros for this guy? 22-year-old centre-back, really talented. We should be just paying 20 million euros and get this out of the way. Now, I would be saying the same as well, because at times I get frustrated with Arsenal negotiations. But this time, I understand what Andre Bata is trying to do. If you are one of those clubs in this transfer window that are going to sign forwards are expensive. And you're also not going to sign 1 or 2, but you want 3 or 4 forwards this summer. You've got to keep some money. You've got to keep some money in your bank account. Regardless of how much you want to spend, you've got to keep some money in your bank account. So what Andre Bata is doing, and why he has started with the easier deals, he knows that the spending is going to, is going to rise quickly when we start selling forwards. You see, Zubimendi, 66 million euros. The goalkeeper, 5 million. Mosquera, maybe 20 million. And then Christian Nogard, 15 million. The moment you add Eze, that is an extra like 60 million. That takes it to 160 million. Then you add Rodrigo, it would go to about 300 million. Then you add Šeško, 350 million. Arsenal could spend about 350 million this summer by the fact that we want to sign 3 forwards. So Andre Bata is trying to make sure that he still keeps the club afloat within PSR for now and for the future, right? We know Arsenal have the money. We know Arsenal can spend, but of course, the future is very crucial. Arsenal are not going to end spending this summer. Even in January, you guys will want players. Even next summer, you guys will want new players. So, Hands-Off also says that there is that disparity between the two clubs in terms of the price. There is that difference, but it can be sorted out, in my opinion. And then Fabrizio says that Christian Mosquera's plan remains clear. He wants to join Arsenal's project despite contract proposal from Valencia. Full focus on negotiations with Arsenal as personal terms are agreed, and a new bid will be needed after opening bid of around 14 million euros was rejected by Valencia. I think Valencia are being caught in no man's land. On one hand, they are fearful of losing one of their best players at pennies. On the other hand, they feel this optimism that maybe it could stay. You know when you are in when you are in this kind of relationship where you're like, maybe she could stay, but she's gone. I think that's what Valencia are doing. They know the player wants to join Arsenal. They know the player has had his head turned by Arsenal. But they're hoping that they might actually do enough to actually keep him. Can they keep him? In my opinion, I don't think so. I think it's going to be an easy deal for Arsenal. Eventually, I think a deal will be done for 17, 18 million euros. I don't see it go into 20 million euros. If Arsenal don't want to pay 20, they will not pay 20 for a player whose contract is out in the summer. Definitely not. Hit the like button, subscribe to the channel. Did you know that Arsenal want to sign about 4 players in attack? Well, it is true, and I'm going to dissect that story in my next video.